treat you like I treat everybody else.
That's fine. I remember there's a big garden, and then my mother wanted to put a patio out there. They cleared out the garden, and this gentleman came up here to do the patio, and his name was Monroe. And with him was a 14-year-old boy named Otis Lowry.
Lifelong friend.
I've known him.
Lifetime.
He taught me a lot of stuff. He taught me how to do the twist. Okay? And the mashed potato.
You're up there with all the hottie toddies, and yet you say you were not born with a silver spoon.
Well, I didn't mention anything about spoons, but the one thing about being over there was there was kids to play with, but not like over on Oakmont Road. I was always envious of the kids that lived over there because they were at the ball field. There was a little league ball field there, and this is the baby boom generation. There are kids all over the place. There weren't as many kids over where we lived, so I mean it was nice. I mean there were the Merrills and the McCabe's, and it was okay, but. I mean, I would rather have been, I'd rather all of us had been over on Oakmont Road, because that's where, to me, that's where all the action was.
What did you want to be when you were a kid?
Away. I wanted to get away from all of it.
Well, that was good then, wasn't it?
Yeah, military school was great. It was my idea.
It was your idea.
Yeah, I went there in 7th grade.
You weren't this incorrigible child.
Well, in the summers I went to Camp Shamdelica. And Camp Shamdelica was owned by Greenboro Military School. I actually liked the structure of military school. It was pretty good. And even though I was little up there and young, and got smacked around quite a bit. Quite a bit. And
you deserved it?
I had quite a mouth on me. So 9th grade was not a good year up there. And she said, "You're coming home." And I asked, "Please don't make me go to public schools back here." She did.
You went to GW?
That's a decision she came to regret.
And you went downtown a lot?
We went downtown every day. In my junior year, we went downtown every day.
So you got to know a lot.
Go to home run, go to the hub.
You hung out at the hub?
Hub pool room. You brought the food down the stairs from the cook, and you got a free meal. And
did you play pool all day?
I wasn't much of a pool player. I played the pinball machines, and
you just liked hanging out there.
I just didn't want to be at school.
You felt comfortable in a place like that?
It was home.
Much more so than the country club atmosphere.
Oh, I've never been a member of a country club in my life. So
your grades weren't, they suffered?
They didn't just suffer. There were 331 students in the class of 1968. And you were talking to number 331. I was the last student.
You squeaked out?
I don't know how, but I did. So I went back to the Sterling and worked there for the rest of the high school.
So you've been around restaurants virtually all your life?
A person that's willing to work can always get a job in a restaurant. It's always been there for me. That was the bootleg days of Charleston. There was no illegal liquor. There was no legal liquor served at these clubs. So there was no governing rules of the clubs. So they stayed open all night long. And we didn't get hit till about 4 o'clock in the morning. Huge parties of people would come in there. We'd have garlic toast and eggs over easy and steaks. And when he turned over the steaks and dropped the French fries, you had to get 10 orders ready. So that's how I learned to cook. And I got to be pretty good.
Interested in cars by then?
Yes. And I was building cars. I was building race cars. But we towed a car to Winfield and drag race down there. And I won 6 trophies. And in April of '69, I was running this guy and he got killed. And he was from Parkersburg. And I was just a kid. And I actually finished ahead of him. But when his car started turning over, I could see him rolling around. There was no seat belts, no safety, no nothing. And here I was with a seat belt, a scatter shield, and a helmet, and all that, and they thought I was nuts. And next week, everybody had them. I got drafted. November 4th, 1969, I left. They picked me to go in the Marine Corps. Yeah, I didn't get picked then. They picked me.
How did you feel about that? Weren't you? Did you have some trepidation?
I just wanted to get it over with. Because I had the military experience in military school, I knew how to do the manual of arms. I knew how to do all the movements. So it helped me when I was on Parris Island.
So what did you end up doing?
I drove a truck. And I drove a truck.
In Vietnam?
Yes. And I drove it in Okinawa. And then I drove one in Vietnam. What I remember about getting back in Vietnam was pure, complete apathy. People just didn't care and they didn't want to hear about it. They were tired of the war, and that didn't matter what their politics was. And then I came back home after 1 year at Marshall. And then I started hanging around in the clubs and working there at number 8, digging graves up here at the cemetery in the daytime for the city. And then I started working down there at night as a bouncer and working the door down there. So I bought the number 8. I was there 3 weeks, just operating as a bar. Otis and I started talking, and so he decided to come down, and we set up that soup and sandwich. And then I went over to Lee Street and set up another one.
Okay.
And that was a very successful place. And I was there for 10 years.
That was just called Danny's. Or...
Danny's on Lee Street. And I sold the number 8. And Otis got out of there. And then by that time I had the Alice Club, and I sold the Alice Club to him. Okay, so he had his club.
I forgot about the Alice Club.
I had the Alice Club for 6 months and sold it to Otis. And then I had 3 places at one time.
You're making my head swim.
I know, it made my head swim. So I sold the number 8 and made a big profit. And then Otis bought the Alice Club for me. And then he started Lowry's. That's how Lowry started, 1978. Life was good. It was...
Why did you change it?
No, I'm talking about my life was good. I was young and
handsome.
And drank every day. And
is that when you got involved in drugs?
No, well, that's always been grossly exaggerated. My interest was more into booze.
Partying.
Booze. No, not even just liquor. I mean,
What did you drink?
Blended whiskey, Canadian whiskey, and I drank. But I worked, and the bar and restaurant business is so intense, it lends itself to that. And so I drank more than I should have. I never got in trouble, never drove drunk. It was always convenient. I mean, I lived downtown, and then I would, into the 80s, and I was, I was slim, and it was a great life. But the only thing is, I was tired of the work. So then I thought I'd run for sheriff.
Yeah, I was going to say, whatever possessed you to run.
I knew I'd win.
Why did you know you'd win?
Chilton. I mean, I knew that I had been on the Deputy Sheriff Civil Service Commission. I thought, I'd learned about the Sheriff's Department, and I had a perspective so I ran for sheriff and got elected. So Ned Chilton said, the way he was, he said, why don't you run? So, and I said, Ned, I'm a Republican. He says, we'll whip their ass into line. Talk about the editorial board, and he did, him and Hawk. And so then I spent 4 years there, and we reorganized the tax department. I think I did a good job as sheriff, and then spent 2 years in the legislature. But that was a lost cause because there were 100 members, and I knew I wasn't going to be anybody in the legislature. It was fun, and I learned a lot from it. In the spring of '94, I knew that I had to stop drinking. So on May 24th of 1994, I took my last drink. That was 18 years ago.
Was it tough? Did you get any help?
It was a big change in lifestyle, and it was something I had to do.
But you did it on your own?
I didn't go to treatment or anything like that. It was...
AA or nothing?
I'm not going to say
Okay,
that.
you're not allowed to, okay.
But it was...
you did what you had to do.
I did, yeah, and it was a huge change in lifestyle.
At some point, we're going to have to address this. I know it's been totally blown out of proportion, but we have to address the trouble that you got into as a result of the drug bust.
It was mostly pot. And quite frankly, the federal agents that interviewed me just didn't like the way I talked. They didn't like the fact that I came in there and was pretty nonchalant about what I'd done. And I was honest, and I made a mistake by ever cooperating. And they couldn't prosecute me, so they leaked my file.
They did what?
They leaked my file.
Oh, they leaked your file.
Yeah, the DEA agent. And the FBI. And but the stuff on me was too old, and they would have known about it had I not volunteered it. So I made a mistake in volunteering it. You all never know about it. I was trying to posture myself different from Rourke. Rourke had done stuff while he'd been an elected public official. I never did. I never would.
Was there cocaine involved? You said it was mostly pot.
It was, yeah, but...
A little cocaine?
Yes. I didn't like it. It was exaggerated. But pot, that's different. Yeah.
So that's kind of lingered with you.
Yeah, well, it lingers with you all. It doesn't linger with me. I mean, I haven't...
People keep bringing it up.
That's fine, let them. I don't care. I've survived. We're talking early 80s. I haven't done anything in 30 years. 2002, I got a job at the city picking up garbage. I mean, assistant refuse director. I'll never forget the day after the 4th of July of 2002. It was a disaster. And we didn't have enough help. A bunch of people called in, and I had these inmates. I went and got a couple inmates to help me. All of us got on a truck, and we worked until it was dark that night, picking up garbage. We didn't have enough trucks. And when I was out driving around and on the back of those trucks and talking to people, they kept saying, "Why don't you run for mayor?" And I thought, all I could do is lose. But I was out of politics. And I mean, I really, when I got out in 1990, I aimed to get out. But I thought, well, what the heck, I could give it a shot.
So it started on a garbage truck.
Yes, I'd say so, yeah. And then so I ran for mayor, got elected. People all my life have made a mistake underestimating me. Always.
What's the hardest part about it?
This?
Running the city.
This is not a job you work, it's a job you wear. It goes to bed with you, it gets up with you, but it's not a job you work. The first 18 months I was here, I worked. You know, going to everything and trying to do all that things. That's not the way the mayor's job. If you do that, if you try to micromanage this, you're going to fail. You have to be part of the bigger picture here and answer to people's ideas and give them ideas and run things around people. You have to stay around the big picture on this thing. And that's how the festival got started. And that's how all this stuff on the boulevard and that cover for that park out there, because when I was at QBE, Jeff Whitehead said, he said that's a flawed concept because you bake out there in the sun. So I think we got to get that thing covered. I think it might have been Senator Burr's last earmark. You know.
What would you consider your major achievement?
I'd say the ballpark, because that was dead. That thing died a few deaths. Those events out there in the festival and shutting the regatta down, knowing when it's time. That's a hard thing to do, Sandy. A lot of mayors wanted to do that. They knew it was time, and I just did it. 37 years. A lot of people are still upset about that.
I know that.
Yeah.
But things evolve, and this is evolving.
Well, show me the money.
No, I mean this.
I mean, I'll tell anybody that says that, show me the money. They say, well, you shut down regatta to have the festival. No, we didn't. You give me $500,000 and we'll do a regatta on Labor Day. So, not this Labor Day. next Labor Day. It takes a year. That's the key to a city, is people have to have fun. And the mistake we make here in Charleston, here's the mistake we all make. We should gear everything towards the youth. Not people my age. People 30 and below.
So they'll stay.
And so, because if it works for them, it will work for all of us. But just because it works for us doesn't mean it'll work for them, because they'll leave. And they have. And that's the difference.
User fee, you've gotten a lot of gap over the years.
Easy come, easy go. You take that $6 million out of the budget, what are you going to do? How many police you want to lay off? What services you want to get rid of? You want to shut park systems? Parks and Rec's $3 million. You want to deal with it? I mean, it's in all the streets we've paved. We've paved more streets since I've been mayor in the time than any mayor in the history of the city. I don't regret that a bit. That's going to have to go up, by the way. Not this term, but it'll have to go up probably next term.
The user fee?
Sure. Hell, they're charging $4 in Huntington. And the other, in Parkersburg, they charge $3. Most cities get an income tax. They get 1%. Pittsburgh gets $3. $2? $3? What's the deal? It's something you can drive on. It's policemen you can see. I don't get it. That's the best $3 you ever spend, or $2. Well, do I run for re-election?
Yeah, I mean, what
I'd say I probably will. That would be in 3 years, but I'd say yes.
I know you're sick of talking about it.
No, I'm not sick of talking about it. It's changing everything because the boys, and because I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I mean, we're into this now. We're in the 2nd month now.
About treatment, you mean?
I mean, I was with the doctor all day until I got here, and still trying to figure out what path to take. I know everybody is taking every path, including doing nothing. Some people don't deal with it. They just watch and wait and hope their Gleason score stays low.
Are you frightened about it?
Yes, certainly. But the thing that made it worth going public is the fact that people stop me now. Men stop me and tell me they've had their PSA checked because
come out of the woodwork, don't they?
Because I had it. They thought I better get checked myself, and so men have stopped me and told me they've had it. And then a lot of men that have had it have told me their experiences. There's all the different radiation, the seeds, and the robotic surgery, which is most people are doing now. The Da Vinci surgery is 60%. You know, where they stick that robot inside of you. I don't have any control over this, and it's the kids. It's because somebody else is. If it wasn't for those kids, I wouldn't do anything. But now I have to try to stay alive. 5-year-old and a 4-year-old.
Have you looked back over your life?
Oh God, yes. Very hard.
Well, how do you feel about your life?
It's been quite a ride.
Is there anything else you want to say?
I've said enough.